My name is Tim from Squim. I'm one of the prayer chaplains here at Unity in the Olympics. I'm here at Unity the Olympics in the sanctuary right next to the prayer box. And I'm being joined today by Reverend Donna Little, Minister Emeritus from here, who leads our prayer chaplain program, which I am so grateful for. And today we're going to experience in Midday meditation, grace.
Yes.
Grace.
That's
a
indeed.
word we look for all the time. That's an experience we look for all the time as we try to move about in the world.
Yeah.
It's human experience as spirit.
So one of the things that I did in preparation for this today was to pull out my credo, which is a document that we were invited to create when we were first year ministerial students. And it had a set of questions that we needed to contemplate and come up with answers for. And one of them happened to be about grace. Just what is grace? What does it mean to you? And like many things metaphysical, I think there is more than one answer. And I think that it is a good thing for us to take the time when the time comes to think about some of these issues and what does it mean to me? And, just note that down someplace, keep a journal, do a paper, whatever it is. And I'd be happy to supply you with questions from the process. But, what I have found so valuable out of the training experience was doing that credo. I mean, certainly you get a lot of classes and everything, and that's where the juice comes from for what my credo says, but is the thinking that I did in those classes. But to have the opportunity to sit down and really think about what does that mean? One of the first questions is, what is the nature of God? And so if I have to put that into words, and if I have to come up with my own words for what does that mean to me, not what does it mean to Eric Butterworth, or not what it means to Charles Fillmore, but what does it mean to Donna Little? That is an incredible, valuable experience. And as I go through life changes, I have found it very helpful to go back and read my credo again. Do I still believe that? Is that still the truth for me? Because it's my truth. So what is the truth for me, and is it changing, or is it the same? Is it something that that I can take to the bank and say, yep, this is what I believe, and align the energy of my thoughts and my feelings with that understanding and say, yes, this is my philosophy, this is my belief, this is what I believe will happen if I do this. I think it's just been a very powerful experience for me. So I am going to share my definition of grace when we go through this meditation based on today's daily word. So are we ready? Do we have any other guests?
We don't have any other guests. Of course, the benefit of it going live to Facebook, some have chosen that route to go today.
Yeah.
There are none in the room here, but that's okay. Spirit is everywhere.
Yes.
And there's none on the Zoom right now, but everybody's Zooming at their right pace, at the right place, at the right time.
Yes, Zooming is kind of an interesting thought applied to this process.
It is. Spirit is with you all the time, whether you connect to it or not. At that moment, it's still available.
Yeah. Yeah. So I would start today off by saying happy birthday to Rose Witham, my friend and our guest in October who came up with BA from Palm Springs. And today is her birthday. And
It is many people's birthday today. Another one is a wonderful person that has moved through here and has been a great asset to Unity in the Olympics, and that's Jan Wyman.
yes,
Yes, loved all the groundwork that she laid to actually where we are today. She used to be one of the first technicians I met here at Unity in the Olympics. Her creative abilities moved through the newsletter so our word could get out there. It was organized and a delight actually just to be in her presence all the time.
Yeah. Very sad when she felt the need to move on, but I'm glad to see her dropping in once in a while now and coming back to a level of comfort with us.
And she is one of those people, when you look at that thought process of spirit is with you anywhere and everywhere, she has it.
Yeah.
She has it, whatever we call it, but that connection.
Well, and Rose Rose and I sat next to each other at one of the student tables and in seminary, if you want to call it that, but in the ministerial training program at Unity. So for 2 years, we sat next to each other when we were in class. We participated in a lot of discussions. And so when she recently visited me in October, it was so interesting that the whole time that we were in school, we never spent as much time communicating with each other, sharing with one another as we did in that 6 days that she was here. It was an amazing experience. She's an amazing woman. So happy birthday, Miss Rose, and happy birthday, Jan. And anybody else whose birthday is January the 31st. Okay, so today's word is grace. Grace. And the affirmation is the grace of God flows freely through me. Within the turbulence of a storm exists the delicate beauty and perfection of the raindrop. Filled with renewing, cleansing water, each drop contains the nourishing promise of new life. I can think of grace the same way. No matter the storm, the presence of God is within it, vibrantly alive and discoverable in every detail. When life's hurricanes arrive, infinite grace shelters me from the deluge. It is easier to weather a downpour if I am prepared and protected. So I step confidently into the powerful shelter of my faith, mindful of my every blessing. I cherish all the gratitude and grace I can find. I don't simply ride out the storm. I grow through it, appreciating the power and majesty of each precious drop of rain. And the Bible verse is from John 1, verse 16. From his fullness, we have all received grace upon grace. And we have had some rain this fall. We have had some rain. When I say I grow through it, appreciating the power and majesty of each precious drop of rain, there has been a lot to appreciate. So let us just find a comfortable position. Allow your eyes to gently close. Let your body relax and let the chair or wherever it is that you're sitting support you. Knowing that as we continue this relaxation process into comfort of the body, that we go deeper into our relationship with the one power, and the one presence in all the universe. One power, one presence. Sometimes we call that presence God. Sometimes we call it spirit. But when we say the one, we know individually what that one is, who that one is, and what that relationship means to us. And so today I encourage us to think about that relationship that we have with God. Think about how it feels to be in relationship with that kind of power, that kind of presence, that kind of promise, and that kind of gift. As I was sharing with Tim earlier, when I was in ministerial school, one of our assignments was to write our credo. We had a set of questions that we were invited to contemplate, and such as the first one, which was, what is the nature of God? And when I say contemplate it, yes, look and see what other people have said. What does Charles Fillmore say about the nature of God? And what does Eric Butterworth say? And what do other philosophers, religious leaders, what do they say it is from their perspective? And I invite you to know that you have your own perspective, your own idea of the truth of that description of the nature of God. Just as we have our own truth of the nature of grace. That's the point of metaphysical, I think, is that we have that vision, that understanding within us, and it is our own. It is our own truth. And I'm always interested when events happen in my life to see if my understanding, if my truth, as I wrote it in 2003, if that's still the same, or if it's different. Is it changing? And just because it is not changing, to me, does not mean that I am not growing. I believe that I am constantly growing. But it doesn't necessarily mean that it changes the basics of what I believe, what I choose to believe, what I have written and declared as my belief. So, grace. What I wrote in 2003 was, many times throughout her works, Emily Cady tells us that we are not only seeking God, but God is seeking us. God is seeking us. This, to me, is an element of grace, an extremely an extremely crucial element. But there are other elements as well. Eric Butterworth, my tongue is not working. Eric Butterworth defines grace as divine favor, the activity of God's love working for you constantly. And this comes from his book, Celebrate Yourself, on page 128. It's a good book. I recommend that. I believe that grace is the activity of God's love, and it is for one and for all. We do nothing to obtain it. Grace, this great love for us, is present always, constantly moving into our lives, nudging us toward our highest good. This movement presents a progression of information and events that ultimately leads us to a greater and greater level of awareness, to our spiritual awakening into conscious awareness. It is not a specialization for some select few. It is the Father's good pleasure for all, for each one of us. I believe that it is my calling to be a channel of God's grace. I am to be a demonstration of knowing God and being at one with God, to provide information about God and to facilitate experience with God. But mostly, I am to be. Grace is about being in relationship with God. It is God's offer of love and support from God's side of the relationship. All I have to do is accept. We had the experience yesterday of doing the burning bowl ceremony, which is a release, a metaphysical release of thoughts, feelings, beliefs that we carry with us, that we have formed and carry with us, and which may hold our thinking and our believing at a certain level of awareness. It may be that it has not been reevaluated in light of what I currently have experienced, to know that today, for example, I know grace, the love of God for me, is this. It looks this way. It feels this way. It feels like a warm hand touching my heart, bringing peace, bringing health and wholeness to my beating heart. And in our ceremony yesterday, we included the activity of being in that conscious awareness, being in that connection with God, the good, and inviting God to write us a letter, a love letter, showing us guidance and direction for our coming year. What is it that we need to be working on? What is it that we need to be learning about? What is it that we need to be considering changing the way we believe, the way that we think about ourselves primarily? How can I make myself a better person? By believing that I am a better person. What I believe is what comes about. So this letter is an opportunity for that one power, one presence to speak to us in ways that we clearly understand. To say, Donna, Tim, Charles, Sandra, Star, this is what you need to be paying attention to this year. These are things that are going to be happening for you. This is how I encourage you to respond when these events happen, so that you can understand and you can express yourself with complete honesty, integrity, joy, knowing that you are following the right and perfect way into the oneness with me. And when we receive these letters back next summer, it will be a reminder to us of this special, loving moment that we've had with the one power and one presence, with God the good, omnipotent, omnipresent. We will know that God has been with us all of these months, knowing in advance what it is that we need to be focusing on, encouraging us, sending us that grace-filled love to say, this is the way. This is the step you need to take now. These are the opportunities that you have, the choices that you have. And be open. Be open to that love that God offers us, offers each one of us, to guide and direct us toward the right and perfect next step of our journey in spiritual life. So take these thoughts, these ideas, this encouragement into your own time of meditation and contemplation, and think about grace. Grace. Grace is about being in relationship with God, and it is God's offer of love and support from God's side of the relationship. And so it is. And so we follow it through. Amen.